So Jamal Niaz here with the horror icon himself, Eduardo Sanchez, co-director of the Blair Witch Project. We're here with Monopoly Events at For the Love of Horror. So many horror icons here. First of all, how much you geeking out about being around the Lost Boys, Kiefer Sutherland, Jason Patric. It's crazy.
It's like, I never thought I would see them, in person. It's cool. I mean, the whole event is just amazing. And it's great, getting the energy from people. And people are just, they just love horror so much. I feel so blessed to be a part of this community and like that fact, people spend, travel and they spend money and, I feel really blessed to just be part of it, and I love like just the reactions, and again geeking out on just everybody. It's an amazing experience so far.
I mean, let alone the impact the film itself has had, the impact has had a lasting impact. It's spawned a whole subgenre in horror, in the found footage, way ahead of its time. But just the making of the film itself was absolutely legendary. You really distanced yourself from the actors. You left them alone in the woods. There was like canisters where you would put the empty film and you would drop some more in for the actors to self-shoot. They were camping, you was rustling about in the woods, like, you was putting them through it. You was really traumatizing them.
Yeah. I mean, we played the Blair Witch.
Yeah.
We looking back on it, we always wonder, like, how did we do this, and also, especially Heather, because there was mostly a male crew, male cast.
Yeah.
My girlfriend at the time, Stephanie, was like one of the only female that was around. And Heather especially was like, unusually courageous to just come out and go to think about it. We're like, hey, we're going to make this movie. We don't know anybody, and you're going to be in the woods with two guys that you just met for about a week, for 24 hours a day. Are you cool with that? And luckily she was cool with it. And Mike and Josh were cool with it. It was like, it was an experiment. We were trying to create something that was absolutely realistic. And the best way we thought of like to pull that off was to give them the cameras and let them go into the woods. And then, like you said, we gave them little directions, like 3 or 4 times a day of, character directions and also logistical directions of where to go, where hike, what time to be at a certain place. And we had like these GPS devices that kind of took them from location to location. And it was an experiment that worked, like I remember going back, 2:00 in the morning, walking back with, I don't know who it was. I think it was Greg Hale, one of the producers. And we had just finished scaring them, making noises or whatever. Because we would go out, basically we would go, all right, it's time to scare the actors. We would go out there like at 12, midnight, or, make sure they're asleep, and then start, all right, go run this way, making some noise. And then the flashlights would come on and you'd slowly see them. It was cool. It was really cool. But I remember walking back one morning, and it was cold. It was like, and I'm just like, what the hell are we doing? Like, but again, the idea that like, and I remember telling my partner this, like, we may be making the biggest piece of shit on the planet. It's either going to be great or it's going to be a comedy, because what the hell are we doing? But it's such a unique experience. And Steven Spielberg is, my idol and, my filmmaking god. And I was like, it's something that like Spielberg, like the biggest filmmaker ever, he could never do this. Like he would never be, and it's such a unique thing. Like we've somehow we've stumbled onto this idea, and we've stumbled onto the way of making it, and we've stumbled onto like these actors that are very, generous with their time and their comfort and everything, and their talent. And it was just one of those moments where I was like, we're doing something that's never been done before. And it's just, it was like, so we had moments like that. And then other moments where you're in the rain and it's cold and you're just miserable. But it definitely was something that, we thought we had nothing to lose. And we just kept throwing stuff out there, and luckily it worked,
Because it was like immersive theatre for the actors. You mentioned that Steven Spielberg couldn't do what you guys did in terms of directing. I don't think the likes of Leonardo DiCaprio could do what Michael C. Williams and Heather Donahue did, because Michael, he got some of the toughest direction notes in the final scene. It just said, go up and then go down. It didn't even say go upstairs. It said go up and then go down. No house was described.
Yeah, because for us it was like, how do we, because I was in charge of doing the notes, and then I would give them to Dan, my co-director, and he would check them out and okay them. And I remember, like, how do I tell Mike what to do without telling him that they're going to walk into a house? Because I wanted that moment, like when they walk up to the house and Mike says, "It's a house." That's the first time he saw that house, and it was basically me with a boombox playing on a tape playing, Josh's Mike, and then I would pause it, wait for them to wake up, hit it again, wow, over here, and then kind of once they got out, I would move, and the whole time I'm like, I don't want them to see me because I'm going to ruin the magic, their immersive, the immersive quality of the drama. And also, I don't want to be caught on video, walking around, like Bigfoot. And then I slowly led them through this kind of, these bushes and this trees to the house. And it was just, it just worked out, it just worked out. And then again, like as soon as he saw the house, I think he realized, oh, go up and then go down. Like now I understand. And, again, it was like filmmaking. It was like directing by remote control, like by just trying to separate yourself. And also I think Blair Witch taught me that sometimes the best thing you can do as a director is back off and let the people that you hired, the people that you cast, do what they, bring their talent to the screen. And because it was very hard for us to like stay away and like not get in there and say, oh, do it this way and do it that way. And it was a struggle a lot of times, but luckily it worked out.
It was a big gamble as a director, and I'm guessing the first time that you watched that with an audience, you were excited but nervous as well. Do you remember what it was like experiencing the ending for the first time with an audience in a cinema?
It was a weird experience because the movie would end and it was just silence a lot of times, especially the first couple times. Like it was just like people were, is that the end of the movie? Like what, looking around, and a lot of the people were just like, just kind of like trying to figure out what the hell they had just seen, and for us, we were like, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? And obviously the movie has, people hate the movie, people love the movie. Now, it's kind of like a two-sided thing. A lot of people didn't get the movie. A lot of people, as you can see, people, come from all over the world to be a part of it and just get our signatures and stuff. But, we didn't know what we had, you know what I mean? And then later on talking to people, people were like, it's the most, it just shocked me. And then I talked to other people who saw it later in the cinemas and had similar experiences. It was like, I think it was just something so unexpected, and it was something that was like really uncinematic. It was just, and I think people, it really surprised people. And I think that's what, especially the end. I mean, I remember the ending, I was editing, and I've told the story a million times, but it's just like, it just shows the power of the movie. Is I was editing, because I would work on the website during the day, and then I would edit at night, and it was like 1 a.m. and late, and I'm alone in the office, and I'm just editing, and I'm editing the house scene and trying to find footage, and I'm like, all right, where do I go with here, this, and then I just start watching it, playing it back, and there's a shot where Michael, or I think it's Mike, has the video camera, so he pans across, and there's like this little piece of dust or something just falls, and the sound of the house, and it just started creeping me out, and the looking through the empty windows, like it just creeped me out, and like within 5 minutes I had turned the computer off and was like running to my car. So it was kind of one of these things where it's like, man, I was there when we were shooting this, like if it's having that effect on me. And I remember like the first time we saw Heather's confession, and we were like, just, flabbergasted. And then, or when we saw that Mike, kicking the map into the creek, because that was something that was not scripted. You know, it was just these moments where there was magic there, you know, and it's, you know, it's very rare when you capture stuff like that. And again, like I've said a million times, I feel so blessed to have been a part of it, because it was truly one of the most collaborative experiences of my life. And if it wasn't for, you know, Heather, Mike, and Josh, and Greg, and Dan, and, you know, Ben, and Rick, and everybody that was a part of the, you know, the shooting and even the editing, Mike Manello, and, you know, the website, like it was truly like this family coming together and you know, adding their talent to it. And again, it was a lot of luck. You know, the internet was the right size. You know, we got the message out there, but you couldn't really check up on stuff. Like there was no Facebook. So Mike and Heather and Josh were completely unknowns, and people were like, man, maybe they are dead. You know, like it just, yeah. You know what I'm saying? It was just like the perfect storm in so many ways. And again, I just feel really honored and just kind of lucky to have been a part of it.
And for me, the build up to a jump scare or a reveal in horror is always scarier than the jump scare or the reveal. Yeah. Your whole film is build up of tension with no release, and that takes so much guts, man, and it worked.
No, I mean, I mean, look, it wasn't really about guts. It was just like that's our film, you know. That's what we have. And also, like I tell people all the time, it's like if we had like a real budget, I think Dan and I would have figured out a way to ruin the movie somehow.
You would have revealed the witch.
We would have done some stupid shit at the end, and I think that the ending came from, because we came up with the ending like as we were shooting it. We had no idea how we were going to end the movie. We knew we were going to be in that cellar in the basement of the house, and we had like, you know, we had designed, you know, production designed the house where we, you know, took all, because there's a lot of graffiti and there's, you know, just crazy stuff from being years of abandonment. So, you know, we knew we were going to be in that house. We reinforced the stairs. It was a little bit, you know, dangerous. It was kind of an abandoned house. And we're so fortunate that nobody got hurt during this whole shoot. But it was like, we knew we were going to be in the house, but we had no idea what was going to happen in the basement. And I think that like, if we had like $50,000 or $100,000, we would have made some stupid suit. We would have ruined it. And I think the ending ended up being like the perfect thing. And for us, it was almost like a little bit of a placeholder. Like we were like, yeah, that's cool. I think that would be good. And then we'll see how it works. And then the more we watched it, the more we loved it. We were like, that's just the perfect end. How else are you going to end this movie? You can't end it with fucking lights and, you know, the witch running after them. Yeah. Like you can't do that, you know? It would betray the whole rest of the film. And again, like it was like serendipity. It was like so many things related to Blair Witch. It was just like the right idea at the right time and the right situation. And luckily we made it and we edited it properly. Like, again, it was just like we were just blessed from the very first day until, you know, even now, like I'm talking to you because of this movie, you know, that we made so long ago. It's just, you know, it was a perfect storm of everything, of creativity and timing and, you know, and luck.
And the mythology that you guys created is so rich and deep. You know, it spawned sequels, and there are rumors online that there is another sequel coming in the near future that you could potentially be involved in as a producer. And I know you're not going to tell me anything because it's that type of film, but you know, can fans expect to see another film in that universe at some point? I mean, it's inevitable. Like I think that you know, like personally, you know, Lionsgate owns it, so it's like kind of their thing, and they keep us in the loop to a certain extent, but they definitely keep us at arm's length for most of the stuff. We usually find out about it like after they've done it. We're like, you know, like there was a steel book that came out. And we never found out about it until we saw it in the stores, or somebody posted it. Hey, there's a new Blair Witch, you know, DVD or Blu-ray or whatever. And we were like, oh, that's cool. But I think it's inevitable. Like I think that like there is definitely like a hunger for more, you know, especially going back into the mythology. And I think that that's the way to go. Like we always, you know, the way Dan and I envisioned,
Blair Witch was that it was going to start with the first movie, the found footage movie, and then we were going to go backwards in time and kind of go around and do the Ellie Kedward, which is the witch story in the late 1700s, and do the story of Coffin Rock, and that was our plan. And then Rustin Parr, we were going to do like a serial killer in the 40s. Wow. Dreams of we could make that one in black and white, and just kind of dream, just talking crap. We have gone back to Lionsgate, and we wrote a sequel many years ago, like probably more than 10 or 12 years ago. We wrote a sequel that was really good. It was a normal, not a found footage movie, and they decided not to green light it. It's just the way it is. We've my partner Greg and I, who was one of the producers on the movie, have pitched Lionsgate. We've worked with them on a couple of TV show ideas, and so far it hasn't worked out. I know I hear all the rumors of we've talked to multiple people that have taken it, that Lionsgate has given the reins over to them, but so far nothing has been happening. But honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if next summer or next Halloween or whatever, hey, there's a new Blair Witch movie or Blair Witch TV show that nobody knows anything about. And I would love to be a part of it. I would love to, go back into that world. But I understand the idea of bringing new blood into, an old franchise. But, it would be amazing to be able to go back and direct, some television. Because I think really, for the mythology, I think television is the way to go because it gives you more time to explore stuff. And I think movies are great, but it's kind of to really explore deep mythology, it really lends itself more to television. So I hope that they go in that direction, but I think it's inevitable, whether, it's next year or the year after, or, I know the 25th anniversary is coming next year, and we're planning a couple of things that are, we're very excited about that I can't really talk about, but, with the original movie. So we'll see what happens. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if you hear, Blair Witch again very soon. Some movie or a TV show or something,
Final one. I know that you mentioned the aspect of you not regretting that you didn't reveal the witch, but we did see what people thought was the witch in Adam Wingard's film in 2016. But then I've seen online people saying, actually, that wasn't the witch. That was one of the witch's victims, which, it's not been confirmed nor denied that. But what did you make of that creature appearing in the film?
I mean, to me, what I liked about that movie was that it updated our movie, it kind of had a high tech, drones, and the video was actually not, shitty high 8 that we shot our movie on. And also it was just, a fresh take. And I love Adam and Simon, I love their films and their work. And they were they were huge fans, and they were the right people to do it. But I love the things that they added to it, the kind of the weird things, and people are does it bother you that they took it in this direction or what? I'm like, no, because for me and the creature that you were talking about, I don't know what that thing is. It just looked creepy. And I was like, yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. I'm again, if we had had money on our version of the movie, we would have probably had some kind of creature like that at the end also. Yeah. So they had more resources than we did, and they went for it, and it was a good film. So it was a great experience. It's so for me, it's Dan and I and all the guys, Ben and Greg and everybody that kind of helped with the mythology, Mike and everybody. When we wanted to keep it nebulous, and we wanted to keep it, we didn't want to give this is the Blair Witch, number one, number two, we didn't want to give any kind of concrete ideas of what the Blair Witch was like. We love the idea that there's something in those woods. It's called the Blair Witch because of Ellie Kedward, what happened, but Native Americans have been dealing with that thing for hundreds of, even 500, 600 years, ever since there've been people around that area on the, in the area of Burkittsville, Blair. They've been dealing with this thing, this dark presence, or this whatever you want to call it, but for me, like time travel, in the original movie, there's time travel because they end up at a house that was burned down in the 40s. And it's very subtle. Like, you're not supposed to really know that, unless you like really research and realize what it is. But there is, for me, it's like anything can happen in those woods, and any kind of apparition can happen. Any kind of creature can be developed from this. It basically, I think it, if you want a sort of explanation, it kind of goes into your brain and finds something that you like Mary Brown says in the movie, so it was this thing covered with hair. Like, for some reason, that's how it came to Mary. As a little girl, for some reason, maybe she was around horses. I have no idea. We kind of came up with it on the spot. But so for us, it's like that thing that you saw in the 2016 version. It was just something that the thing that's out there pulled from one of those protagonists' heads and showed it on and put it on screen, and it's a completely different thing than happened to Ellie Kedward. It's a completely different thing that happened to Rustin Parr. So I think that like that's what I love about Blair Witch, and I love like all the fan theories, and to me, like, the more mythology and the more different takes on the folklore there are, the better it is, because that's how real folklore works. You know what I mean? Like, that's why Bigfoot is still like, people still love to look for Bigfoot, because we haven't found Bigfoot yet. And there's people that say, oh, it has brown fur, and some that it's 7 feet tall. Some say it's smaller, and there's all these different sightings and all over the world, and whatever. But the idea is that it's a mystery. And I think that, horror films in general and folklore and movies that are based on folklore, like, that's part of like how we deal with death or life or whatever. There's something, you look at this convention, you see how many people love horror, which is a dark thing. Like, and I mean, I know there's some films that are fun or whatever, but, it's basically somehow where it helps us deal with death, with our mortality. And for me, like, Blair Witch is just part of that thing where, like, I love the idea that you can read the mythology, you watch the movies, you read the books or whatever, but you create your own thing in your head, and anything can happen out there. And that's what I really love about Blair Witch, and the idea that, like, we didn't set any rules. And I love that. That was my favorite thing about the 2016 movie, is that all the different things we saw in that movie that we didn't get a chance to see in our film, but all part of the Blair Witch world. And that, it's exciting to see like talented people like Adam and Simon and all the other artists. And like, they just did, I don't know if you ever saw it, but there was a Hunt a Killer box set that came out a couple years ago, which is like, Hunt a Killer is this thing where they send you a box of like clues, and you have to do your own investigation, and they send you another box, and it's a really amazing thing. And the Blair Witch one was off the charts great. I mean, it was just so much fun to do, and I couldn't even finish it, because you have to take a lot of time, and you have to be pretty smart and really look through things. But I love the fact that, because I knew some of the people that wrote it, and just the fact that people are so getting into it and still generating enthusiasm so many years later is just an honor, and again, a blessing to me that this is happening. So for me, it's like, the Blair Witch can be anybody's, and I love hearing stories of the theories of who killed Heather, and what happened out there. Mike and Josh were in cahoots to kill her, and I'm like, yeah, that might have been it. That might have worked. But I love that, because to me, there's no definitive, like, there are no definitive rules, and there's no definitive folklore or mythology to Blair Witch, and that's what I love about it the most.
Well, like I said, you're a true innovator, an icon of horror. You pretty much birthed a whole genre, a subgenre of the horror, the found footage genre. You started it with Blair Witch Project, it then picked back up with Paranormal Activity, which was fantastic as well in its own right.
Yeah.
So, I just want to say on behalf of the horror community, on behalf of Monopoly Events, thanks so much for being here this weekend, and I hope you have a great time nerding out with everyone about the genre.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. And again, it's a great opportunity to like just meet people and again, geek out, and it's so far it's been amazing. So, I appreciate you guys having me.